Good morning and welcome to SPK. SPK is a big cultural complex here in Germany, and so we have libraries, archives and museums, and now you are in one of those 16 museums which altogether make the Foundation Russian Cultural Heritage. We are happy to have you here. As it is a tradition in many museums, this museum as well is closed on Mondays. So this means that we are today a little bit more on our own here, which allows us also to use the cafe facilities, and it will be a little bit more quiet. Tomorrow the museum is open, and if you want to, you have a chance with your badge also to visit the museum tomorrow after the end of the main conference. So you are most welcome. I don't want to make much of an introduction, because this will be given now immediately by our coordinator of the project, Zara Wortley, from Coventry University. So I will invite her to come up to the stage and start the content of the meeting. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. A very warm welcome to this wonderful venue and to our Europeana Space final conference. Thank you very much, Monica and your team, for hosting us here. I do want to say a big thank you. This is our final conference, and it's been an incredible journey. And I'd like to thank all the partners who've been brilliant all the way along the way, and particularly my own team at Coventry University. Tim Hamilton has been fantastic, and Antonella Fraser, her team with Promoter, and everybody who's just been extraordinary. I know we're going to have a wonderful couple of days, and it's great to see so many of you here. Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to say a little bit about the project. Europeana Space, which is a best practice network. And this is really just some of the headlines of what we've been busy with over the course of the 3 years. Because during the course of this conference, you're going to be hearing from many of the partners on the project and others who've been developing their work through the project. So I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail, but just to show you some of the things that we've been busy with over this period of time. So these are some of the key things. We're modelling how the creative and cultural industries are such a powerful tool for social cohesion, tolerance, human interaction and communication. I've made an interesting typo there when I've said not more important than ever. I should say now more important than ever. So please don't read anything into that. Coming from Britain, don't read anything into that, please. Definitely now more important than ever. We've been supporting opening access to cultural heritage content whilst helping to make rights issues more accessible for creators of this cultural content, owners and users of the content. We're promoting the values of cultural heritage content through educational tools for tomorrow's cultural heritage professionals and creative communities. And we are actively developing methods for sustaining the project into the future. So those are just really some of the headlines. And as I say, you'll hear much more about it as we go on through the conference. So this has been our workflow from the beginning that we're still working with. We've been developing new prototype applications arising from 6 pilots. And again, you'll be hearing from each of those pilots very, very soon. And 5 educational demonstrators. We've been looking very closely at open issues and IPR issues, which you'll be hearing about soon. We've all the way through the project, we've been doing a lot of user testing and refining our activities and our projects. We've offered 6 hackathons. Each hackathon has had a relationship with each of the pilot activities to encourage innovation. And I'm really happy that we've got those winning projects with us today. We're going to be hearing about them as they've been taken through incubation and thinking about how they take their work to the market, and thinking about these key ideas of innovation and engagement and sustainability as well. So that's been pretty much the workflow through the project. And this is what I think of as our virtuous circle, the Europeana space virtuous circle. This idea that digital cultural content we're looking at how do we make it more accessible, how do we unlock this content, how do we reuse it, and all of the important questions around intellectual property rights. So to make that process much more accessible. And then through that, developing these creative tools and prototypes, which are fundamentally about innovating new ideas, and then through this process of incubation, testing them out within a market context. And then building all the time these private-public partnerships and thinking about the economic rewards for the industries and for Europe more generally. And then that builds new cultural content, which then feeds back into this cycle. So that gives you a quick sort of overview of the kind of activities we've been involved in. I was thinking about the number of people who've been involved in this project as I was travelling here, and the numbers were too great to calculate. And I think that's something that we've all been very excited about, is just how many people we've been able to reach through this project. The consortium itself is made up of 28 partners from 13 different European countries. Of course, each partner has a team working with them. We've had a huge and growing community of testers and users of our tools. The number of hackathon participants has grown the community even wider. So we're building this community of practice all the time. And then we've been seeing our project teams come through the business modeling workshops into the incubation process. We've got our advisors and our wider network of associates, our delegates at our conferences, and it's lovely to see so many of you here today. Some of you may have come to our previous events. And of course, we have a growing number of visitors to our website and our eSpace portal. So our numbers are growing, but we're not stopping yet. So where are we going next? Well, in these final few months, you're going to be hearing about what we think of as being the sort of what we might call the cherry on the icing on the cake, which is our pop-up museum, or MuPop, which you'll be hearing about later. One of the things that we've been working on is we've been building these fabulous prototypes through our 6 different pilot activities. But what happens if we bring 2 or more of those together? What happens in that interface? How do we start to think about new ideas that come out about bringing those different specialist discipline areas together? And that's what we're busy with now. So you will have a little glimpse into that later on, and as we move towards the final stages of the project, we're going to be building some really new and exciting pilot activities around that as well. So I wish you a wonderful conference. We've got some fabulous keynotes, I think some really interesting presentations. So I look forward to some rich conversation, and I hope you have a really good conference. Thank you very much. And it gives me great pleasure now to invite up to the stage our wonderful project officer, Marcel Waterlek, who's been working with us and supporting us throughout the project, who's going to come and talk to you about the place of cultural heritage in the context of Horizon 2020 programme, New Orientation. Thank you.
Thank you to Monica to give me the possibility to present some new orientation of H2020 program. And thank you also, of course, for Sarah, Antonella and Tim for the organization also of this final conference. My presentation will be divided in 3 parts. In the context of cultural heritage, what we have done with the legal documents that we have, what has been realized until now, and the current activities and the future. Firstly, the starting point. The starting point is the Treaty of European Union States. It's in the Article 3, cultural heritage is mentioned. And the European Union shall respect the member state-rich cultural heritage and linguistic diversity and ensure that Europe's cultural heritage is safeguarded and enhanced. This is a good point. But as you know, it's not the first core business of our activities. We have other documents close to the cultural heritage domain. One of the most important documents for us, basic document, is a Commission recommendation of 2011 on the digitalization and the online accessibility of cultural material and digital preservation. We have also another document, also important, regarding the public sector information. You know, it's a directive. It's most important for the member state because they have to apply this directive. In terms, as you know, recommendation is just a recommendation. There is no constraint to the states. Other important document in the conclusion on cultural heritage is a strategic resource. It's a recent document of 2014 from the Council of the European Union. And this document gives us some strong ideas and arguments to continue our activities. Another document is a communication of July 2014 regarding the cultural heritage and an integrated approach. It's more political view on these activities. For our activities, because I'm working in the DG Connect in Luxembourg, we have strong links with the DG Culture, and DG Culture has a report, recent report in terms of have a good mapping of cultural heritage action in European Union policy program and activities. It's for an integration activities in terms of for the future policies and to avoid overlapping funding, of course. News. The recent news. It's very important for you as creative sector because there is a proposal for a decision. It's actually, at the moment, it's just a proposal of a decision of the European Parliament and the Council on European Year of Culture Heritage. It's so interesting to have such a things, because all the projects working in the sphere of the cultural heritage can have a role in this year. And there is funding for this, and you can receive fund to do something new in this context. What is the place of the cultural heritage in the famous recommendation of 2011? It's like cultural heritage, but cultural memory. Includes prints, of course, books, journal, and specifically mentioned in the recommendation, photographs, museum objects, archival documents, source and audiovisual materials, monument and archaeological sites. But in our view, we enlarge in the course of different projects the concept of cultural memory and cultural heritage to tangible cultural heritage, intangible cultural heritage. It's the reason that we enlarge all the things. We try to do additional things. The implementation is not just to have a recommendation, but we have to implement. And to implement, I will give you an overview how it works. We have to implement this, and it's not easy to implement because as you know, cultural heritage is a small piece in the global budget of the European Union, and we have such a big report on digitalization, online accessibility, and digital preservation. And I recommend to you to read this document because it's done the state of the art in all of the countries that they have replied to our survey, because we did every 2 years a survey and we aggregate all the data and we have some ideas, the state of the art in each countries. And as you know, there is a lot of progress from the beginning of the recommendation. And we have now a second report. With 2 reports, we can see the new tendencies and what are the needs of the countries, what are the needs of the small cities in terms, and also for the cultural institution to propose new ideas for the future and our future activities. It's like our Bible, honestly, because we try to be close to the citizen, to the users, and to the end users too. Okay. And this report is available online through our site. Now, additionally to the recommendation on digitalization, we have 3 types of communication from the Commission. We have the open data communication. We have a communication towards a data-driven economy, and also the famous digital single market strategy for Europe. It's a basic document created in the context of the Commission led by Juncker, and this is in the portfolio of the Commissaire Günther Oettinger. And we have to follow these things as a civil servant and as Commission to follow this new strategy view for the digital single market of Europe. To create the digital market economy for cultural heritage is not easy. We have several reports, and a second part of the Bible for us is the big report on the new Renaissance, the Comité des Sages, on bridging Europe's digital heritage online. This is done in the same time that the famous recommendation. Additionally to this report, please read the annexes of this report. It's really interesting to read, and for additional activity, you can see what is missing at the moment in our cultural heritage, our digital cultural heritage. We are working with an expert group on cultural heritage, an expert group with independent experts, giving us several ideas to continue the activities in line with the budget that we have. We have another important report, it's the Digital Future of Creative Europe. It's to link the digital assets with the creativity and the creative industry. And what will be the impact? Because in digitization in the member states, through the Commission, with a lot of projects, it's a big investment. And we need to go further and to connect all the data from the digitization with the creative industry. It's not an easy task. It's the reason that we have such a type of project. On top of the digitalization recommendation, we have also specific report on digitalization. It's like a survey due to the fact that Eurostat has at the moment no specific statistic. We have to fulfill the gap. And through 2 projects, we have run 2 types of survey. The first survey is measuring the progress made in the digitalization, and through the enumerate project, we have a survey report on digitalization and cultural heritage. On top of the legal documents, the report, the recommendation, the directive, we are working with people, of course, and we have groups. One of the most important group for us, close to our activity, is the MSEG group. It's a member state expert group on digitalization and digital preservation. As you know, Monica is a member of this group, fortunately for us. And this group has a mandate. It's to maintain the activity on digitalization in Europe and inside the Commission. Tomorrow we will have the 18th meeting on this topic in Luxembourg. We have also another group, but it's like external internal group. It's H2020 expert group on cultural heritage. It's to give us new ideas for future program, but in my view it's not enough. We need also additional information outside the expert group, because to have a fresh view, and I recommend you to give us additional new information if you need to modify the strategy of the future. We are thinking not only on H2020, but also on the future framework program FP9. Internally, we have a social platform on reflective society. I will come back on this, because reflective society is one of the part of the program of H2020. The MSG group, it's AU28 meeting. They meet twice a year in Luxembourg, and they monitor the progress with the implementation of the recommendation. It's also a good place to present good practices of several institutions on digitalization, on competencies in digitalization. In general, they propose some new ideas, how to reuse the data, how to use new scanners, and so on and so on. And also to monitor development regarding innovative reuse of cultural material. News, the digital single market, as I said to you, it's the big part of the portfolio of the Commissioner Günther Oettinger. We have the famous new Council conclusion. It's very important. This is for us a recognition of the work done during several years. It's the role of the title, the complete title of this Council conclusion is so the role of Europeana for the digital access, visibility, and use of European cultural heritage. This is now our new basis to continue the activity in the domain. Otherwise, it will be the end for us, due to constraint of budget constraint and so on. And it was done in published the 1st June of this year. It's a good document, providing some limitation of what we have done, but with strong recommendation for the future. How to implement all the action of the Commission? We had in the past, because we are discussing about digital cultural heritage, different type of program, and in the program, different sub-activities. On these topics, we had the famous eContent Plus program. It was the beginning of the digital libraries, digital archives, digital museum, and digitalization of all the cultural heritage. We had a very strong program, well-funded, the CIP program, Competitivity and Innovation program, with 5 calls. And we finalized this program now, because, as you know, eSpace was one of the last projects selected in the last call of this program. In the FP7 program, as you know, several research projects done in digital libraries and cultural heritage sector, and also in the domain of preservation. It's the FP7 program was also a big window for preservation, digital preservation, new research, ICT research on the cultural heritage and how to reuse the digital heritage, especially also a lot of projects in 3D activities, 3D digitalization. Result at the end of this program, massive aggregation of metadata in different fields, best practice network for aggregation of metadata that we have for the moment, and a lot of digitalization project as targeted project, specific targeted project, and also a lot of pilot projects. This is what we have in our hands for the future. We have a lot of support, cultural heritage support covered until now, books, maps, archives, manuscript, video, TV, audio content, films, and for each type of this support, we have one or several projects. For example, for sounds, we have Europeana Sounds. For newspaper, we have Europeana Newspaper. For audio contents, we have this mark and so on. For manuscript, we have Europeana Regia. For books, we have a full set of projects in this. And for maps, for example, we have Big Map and so on. We have different types of projects regarding the support. But also, we cover different thematic domains. It's a cross-domain. What was done for the moment is not exhaustive, but it's a list that we have done something: archaeology, art nouveau, architecture, design, fashion, food and drinks, travel and tourism, animation and physical model, Judaica, regarding the Jewish culture, performing art, social history, contemporary art, photography, early photography. We have, for example, a project on daguerreotypes, the early photography in Europe. Natural history, biodiversity data, and history also. But this is quasi the exhaustive thematic domains that we cover. But there is a lot of other things that we have not covered for the moment. It's not covered for the moment. The central point for the famous digitalization process is Europeana. What's Europeana? It's a galaxy of content providers from cultural institutions. More than 3,000 partners contributing to the project. For the moment, the aggregation, we have more than 53 million items from cultural heritage with metadata, of course. It's like now an aggregation of infrastructure. And Europeana, we have to consider that it's in the world, it's the first massive cross-domain repository with art, culture, and media. We must be proud of this, but it's not sufficient to be proud of this. We have to prove that this beautiful activity is useful. Because the addition of all the projects is valuable, but each project is also valuable in itself. And it's also important to recognize that each project has a value, a big value in terms, for example, in biodiversity, all the data are not in Europeana, of course, but in the project we have a lot of data and several have been done by the Natural History Museum of Berlin, for example. As far we have in the creativity, because with the previous commissioner, we have to jump in a link between cultural heritage, creativity, and business. It was not an easy task for us, and we test through 2 projects to do this and to create the bridge between this. And we have the first project, is Europeana Creative, with inside 5 pilots regarding history education, natural history education, tourism, social network, design, and each pilot used the data and reused the data directly from Europeana. The second project, and we expect a lot of this, is of course eSpace, with 6 pilots, if I know, with also 3 demonstrators. It's regarding interactive TV, photography, based on the huge amount of photography that we have in Europeana photography and in the Daguerreotypes. The dance, games, publishing, and cultural heritage in itself. This is what we have for the moment, and we expect a lot of, because we can enlarge the reusing activity of the digital data. But outside Europeana, it's not only Europeana, because several projects are not directly connected with Europeana. Digital data have been produced, created by a number of organizations not directly involved in Europeana, especially small institutions. And we have massive digital cultural data produced in different countries and by different organizations, not directly involved also in Europeana. And we will try in the future to incorporate this data into a platform, a cultural platform. And as you know, number of small cultural institutions in Europe, there is thousands and thousands and thousands of institutions that have digital data with metadata without connecting, without any relation to a platform for the moment. And we try to do our best to connect all these institutions. Now, the current status and the future. Digital cultural heritage in Age 2020 strategy is what we are doing now. What we have to do, digital access to cultural heritage brings new life into material from the past. It's formidable assets for individual users, but we can also create building blocks for the digital economy. And what was the idea? We have massive data and metadata, and this material can be reused for different new activities, learning activities, educational content, creating new content, creating documentaries, creating tourism application, and there is a huge potential to create jobs, to create new activities in this sector with what we have done in the past years. Also games, animation, and number of new services created on top of what we have as digital assets. The new policy in the portfolio of our commissioner, we have the digital single market with 28 actions. I will not read all the action, but you see that in the pillar 6 there is enhancing digital literacy skills and inclusion. This is a position that we can work in this. But in the beginning, it was impossible to fight against the big core business of the Commission. Nanotechnologies, broadband activities. It was difficult to find something for the cultural heritage. And after fighting and fighting, months and months of discussion, we arrived at some compromise. And we try to find in the small windows that we have, for example, in one of the pillars, maximizing the growth potential of the digital economy, we can try something for the cultural heritage. And also better access for consumer and business to digital goods and services across Europe. This is also windows. We jumped in this window to create new activities. The funding, because we have the digital single market, we have also the funding. We have small budget for the moment, but we can access to the European structural and investment, and I strongly recommend, for the people in charge of digitalization to use this fund. Because the culture is like a place in this structural fund. And I regret, but in some cases, the people working in the culture are not working in the right direction to find good funds for digitalization. And this is a place where you can find several amount of money to do the job. We have, in the context of the digital market, and it was also a big fight for us, because we had the Connecting Europe facilities, but it was not directly done for us. And after a long fight, we tried to find a small piece also of funding for Europeana, and it was a part of the big fight. And Connecting Europe facilities is now a new program running for the platform Europeana. We are in the second call for this, and it works. With difficulties, but it works. What is SAFE? It's digital service infrastructure, and we have two types of support in this context. 100% of funding for the core service platform is Europeana is funding now 100%, and we have also generic service. We start this year with this type of generic services, and it's 75% of funding, and the member state or the partners must found 25% of funding to complete the funding. Core service is the central hubs for digital service infrastructure, and the generic service is gateway services linking national infrastructure into the core service platform. It's a way where we are working in this way now for the moment to save the context of Europeana and to maintain the sustainability of this infrastructure. We can also have some investment. We have investment in ICT research and innovation. I will go on this for H2020. And also ICT in science, ICT in industrial leadership, and ICT in societal challenge. And cultural heritage can be funded in societal challenges and also in ICT science or in ICT industrial leadership. But it's really difficult. Other funding, from as far as I know, we have the Fund for Strategic Investment. There is also funding for cultural heritage. And we have the European Invest Bank about knowledge economy. There is something for the culture, and the European Invest Fund, of course. The EC funding, the place for the cultural heritage, is in two parts, in Societal Challenge 6 and in leadership in enabling and industrial technologies. Example of this type of activities that we can support. ICT, for example, 19 is technology for creative industry, social media and convergence. We have societal reflective 7, for example, advanced 3D modeling. It's also part of the activities, and innovation ecosystem of digital cultural assets. There is some activities, especially societal reflective in 6 and 7. Have a look on our participant portal. Okay, thank you. Merci. As you know, I'm working in Unit G2. It's a data application and creativity. And we are dealing with projects under SIP, FP7, and H2020. And what we are doing is to stimulate ICT innovation, cultural heritage, and creative industry, creative activities. And we support all the digital culture and the digital preservation, and of course, Europeana. We have several projects for the creative industry for the moment. And for example, we open, Antolena, you were on our first presentation in 4-day for the new call for the next year. The topic is tools for smart digital content in the creative industry. In this case, also cultural heritage will be part of the call. We try to find proposal between 2 and 5 million euro, but we have a limited possibility to fund. We will fund maximum 5, maximum 5 proposal. But it's linking directly to visual arts, craft, design, fashion, film, music, press, publishing, radio, TV, and video games. A second series of calls, is Understanding Europe, promoting the European public and cultural space. It's also open, and we have 2 types of action: research and innovation action, and coordination and support action. The global budget of this, as you see, is really limited in terms of size of Europe and size of the demand. We will open also this for the next year, cultural literacy of young generation in Europe, and also the scope is promoting cultural literacy through formal education. It's to make a bridge between cultural heritage and also activity in the formal education, formal and non-formal education. We have an interesting thing for research and innovation action also next year, contemporary histories of Europe in artistic and creative practices with literature, cinema, music and dance. Could be the follow-up of eSpace. And also it's well funded. We try to find project of 2.5 million euro per proposal. It's not bad. But as you know, the competition is very high, very, very high. I can say I follow one evaluation. I have to say that the competition is terrible because we received, for example, 135 proposals and we selected 4 proposals. It's difficult to have a project, but if you have the chance, you were well funded. Another call will be open next year regarding religious diversity in Europe, past, present, and future. There is also cultural heritage is past and the present also. Also, several proposals of 2.5 million euro. We have a next call next year, participatory approach and social innovation in culture. This is also linking directly, it's research and innovation action. As you can see, there is a lot of small call. It's like now a factory of activities in terms of calls. But it's not easy for the coordinator of project to be present in the good call, as you know. I advise you to take part in all the info days that we can organize, to be ready and to be close to the terms of the calls. Because what is missing, if you have a lot of calls during 1 year, the coordinators have the tendency to resubmit the same thing with the same mistakes. And at the end, the quotation is decreased. And there is a lot of frustration. I recognize there is a lot of frustration at the end of the process, but it's our way to work for the moment. And we have also several actions, social platform for improving the excellence of European heritage management and related policy making. It also will be open next year. It's interesting, but it's limited budget for this, for example. Another interesting for next year is the cultural heritage of European coastal and maritime region. It's interesting for the Maritime Museum, probably, I don't know. Also 2.5 million euro by proposal. We have another action for also next year, directly linking to cultural heritage. It's European cultural heritage access and analysis for a richer interpretation of the past, as you know. We have a culture integration and European public space. Have a look on our side. There is numbers of activities, and this is an integrated action. And last but not least, the European Year of Cultural Heritage implementation. The implementation is through the existing EU program. And we have program for conservation, digitalization, infrastructure, research, innovation, enhancement, and skills. It's inside this type of things that you can act for the years of cultural heritage. It's new, it's a new initiative. We have other type of program. We have, as you know, Creative Europe with European Heritage Days, but it's limited funding. We have EU Prize for Cultural Heritage, and we have the European Heritage Label. I recognize the European Structural Investment, and we have also Erasmus Plus and Europe for Citizens. To know more for the digital market, it's easy to find in our portal. Okay, thanks for your attention. I hope that I was not too long, but just I don't know if there are questions. I don't know if.
I think we are a little late, but I would say 2 questions.
If you have questions, yes.
information is not adequately available. How do you see?
Yes, there is possibilities for this definitively, but we can. The strategy is the same strategy that for the archive, the normal archive. We will try to preserve this type of document, but we need to put this specific request in, for example, the next program or the next 2 years, because we are starting to work also for 2018, 19, and 20. But I suggest that I will put this in to reinforce your position in this domain. Yes, it's the same problem for the normal archives, and also the video archive and the documentary. Yes, it will be good to have this approach. Honestly, yes. Okay.
One more question? Okay, not at the moment. So,
Okay, thank you for your attention.
Thank you. So thank you very much, and continue and talk to Marcel while he's here at the coffee break.